Librarians deserve that undertaking and we won't let them down.
Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, Friday was the chance for New Zealanders to come together and to grieve as a country at the National Memorial Service. I think when Prince William, who was quoting his grandmother at the time, said that grief is the price we pay for love, that was a sentiment that was not only present for those in Christchurch, but the tens of thousands of people who were listening on the radio or watching on the television. Mr Speaker, I was proud to represent the people of Taupō, but I left that service enormously proud to be a New Zealander, because it's the actions of the people of Christchurch, but also the actions of those in Taupō and across the rest of New Zealand that have demonstrated with their actions their love as well as their grief. There are nearly 100 evacuees from Christchurch who have gone either temporarily or permanently to the Taupō electorate. And it's the very daily activities of fundraising for those who remain in Christchurch that humble me, Mr Speaker. Whether it's a truckload of groceries, whether it's walkathons, whether it's coin trails at school, whether it's a swimathon in Cambridge, whether it's auctions, whether it's adding a few dollars onto the supermarket checkout every time you pass through. It's those very actions that support the people of Christchurch. The most recent initiative, Mr Speaker, is one that I'm really enjoying through my electorate offices, and that's the shoeboxes of love. So every day I have these care parcels turn up in my office. Some are labelled 6 to 8 year old girl, and in the shoebox are some lollies, some colouring in pens, some books, it might be some bubble bath, all sorts of bits and pieces that somebody has put a lot of thought and attention in, and when that box arrives in Christchurch, they will know that love has been sent in that box. So it's every person that's contributing to the rebuilding of Christchurch. Sarah, I don't think anyone in this room could dispute the fact that the 22nd of February changed our landscape, physically, financially and socially. So I was quite staggered, Mr Speaker, that the first speaker from the opposition didn't even pay attention to the enormous challenge that as a country we have ahead of us. Helping to support and rebuild Christchurch, I don't think, is a boring matter, unlike some of those sitting opposite. It's important for us as a government to make sure we get it right, and it will be priority for us this year and for years ahead. It's actually essential for all New Zealand. But, Mr Speaker, while we do this, it's important that we continue with our economic plan. We need to reduce New Zealand's vulnerability to foreign lenders. We need to reduce New Zealand's levels of consumption, levels of debt, to make sure at where we look at our savings and investment. We need to make sure that our national savings is growing and that we are exporting more of what we grow across the world. The earthquake will unfortunately delay our return to surplus, but it's also important that as a country we stay on top of the levels of debt that we incur. We'll need to borrow a little more in the short term to meet the government's share of the costs of the earthquake as we redirect some capital spending to Christchurch. Major infrastructure projects the government's already committed to won't be put off. And I've seen very directly the economic benefits that these sorts of infrastructure projects provide in Taupō, and we need more of it. As the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister have said, we also need to look carefully at our spending priorities so that we can return to surplus and start repaying debt. While making those decisions, though, we will also protect the most vulnerable and improve public services. Mr Speaker, if it takes a village to raise a child, then it takes a country to rebuild a city. And, Mr Speaker, this side of the House is focused on that.